Tekmatix Kanban boards. Did you know that Tekmatix basically replaces Trello, ClickUp, and other similar board creating tools? You can create unlimited Kanban boards. These are basically boards that you can create endless amounts of columns in. You can have multiple cards inside those columns, and you can use these boards for any purpose at all. As the example on my screen here shows, this is an example of how you might use Kanban boards to manage your team tasks and SOPs, standard operating procedures. This is basically where you might have, for instance, a list of all of your important documentation, your daily tasks, weekly tasks, monthly tasks, quarterly and annual tasks. And in each card, you have the details of those tasks and the standard operating procedural instructions. And just like Trello and ClickUp, inside these cards, you can then go in and assign tasks to team members. You can even put in recurring task frequencies. You can even chat and tag to colleagues as well, and track time. I will show you those in a moment. But other ways that you can use the Kanban boards is also for things like planning out books or planning out course content. It's one of the massive ways that I personally use Kanban boards behind the scenes for like mind mapping. You also can use these for project management and event management, using those columns as your major milestones in a project journey. Bear in mind, you can also use customer journeys for that as well. But for Kanban boards, you might be able to be a bit more creative with these without it connecting to any of your sales pipelines. However, one thing that you can do in here is create unlimited Kanban boards. There's no limit at all to the number that you can create. You can add staff and even customers to your Kanban boards too, meaning that you can use these boards to collaborate with others, which is very exciting. Now, these boards here, these all act as separate boards. You can see here that we also use these Kanban boards for social media planning, but I'll show you an example of what that looks like. This is in our own system. We actually do have January, February, March, April, May, all the way through, and each card represents a day of the month, and you can then create content planning of what you want to create and creating all that content, uploading the videos, uploading the files. This might be a way that you like to work behind the scenes before then maybe a staff member goes into the marketing area and starts scheduling these posts in your social media scheduler. It's actually a process I personally use behind the scenes. Is I plan out all of my content, and when it's ready, I tag my EA, and she will then go in and actually put it in the social media scheduler in the marketing section, just to give you some ideas. But I'll show you how to create one of these boards in the first place. All you do is press add a project, and let's say I'm planning out my next book. Okay, so book plan outline. I don't know, let's say I'm going to write a book on leadership, for example. Okay. Now you can down here put a little description in there if you want to. You can even add team members to this particular board. You can allow just some team members to see it, or all of your team members. This is handy if you have multiple team members. Maybe this is a management board. You only want your managers to see it. But I'm just going to press finish, and it's going to go and create that book outline Kanban board for me. Now, Trello or anything else, you will have this blank board first of all, and you can go in and start adding your columns. So I might call this the intro section. I might go in, thank you, in here and press chapter 1. Press save. By the way, you can choose all the colors as well for those. Let's add another one. And chapter 2. You get the point. Maybe I want that to be a different color. See how it's changed the color. Brilliant. So now we can keep going for as long as we want. There's no limit to the number of columns that you can actually add to these. Now for chapter 1, I might start doing my brain dumping, right? I might put what is leadership? Maybe that's going to be one of my little sections. I always just put my cards in first of all. So again, I might add another section. It might be leadership tip 1. Save. And again, I'm just going to add a couple more just for the sake of our demonstration here. Tip 2. And then, of course, I can just keep going through and adding all of my cards. Okay, so blah, 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 just pretend that's one of my ideas for the chapter. Great. Now, what I like using this for planning and mind mapping is because I might be like, oh, actually, I might just move that over there, drag and drop. So this can be a really clever way to actually do your mind mapping, plan out a course, plan out a coaching program, plan out a book, plan out some kind of content that you're creating, because you can move everything around so flexibly like that. Now let's pretend this was some kind of collaborative team effort. Let's go into our tip 1 in here, for instance. Now what you will see in here is if we press edit on this kind of task here, we can now set a due date. We can add tags to this task. We can make it a repeated task. So if this actually was a task in our tasks board, we could choose the frequency that this task needs to be done at. We can set a priority, like is it low, medium, or high priority? If it was a team task, do I want to follow it? Meaning, do I want to get notifications when there's activity or notes or conversation or when something's been completed? We can add in estimated time that this should take to complete. This is pretty handy if this is a task that you've allocated to a staff member and you're expecting this to be done within 60 minutes and they end up taking 6 hours, right? This gives everyone a really good idea as to, did this task take longer than expected? It's going to give you a much better idea as to how you're managing your operations behind the scenes. You can actually change this card into another Kanban board. Remember, boards here are called projects, and you can add subtasks in here, which is going to be really handy. So for instance, if before I write this task, I need to actually research the theory of XYZ, that may actually be one of the subtasks that I need to conduct first. You press submit to save it, by the way. And you can see here now the main task was write the leadership tip. And then the subtask is research the theory of X. Now I could add another subtask, research the theory of Y. Okay, and press submit. So you can see now how with each of these subtasks, you also can then go into each subtask and allocate and assign those to specific team members. So there might be like 6 of us working on this whole chapter, and each person's been allocated different sections of the chapter. So this is how you can really use these to a whole other level. Now let's pretend we were in our tasks board over here. There's also other things that you can do, such as we've got here, save as a template. If you have repeating projects that you complete for people, maybe you're running services, you don't want to have to recreate these whole sets of tasks with all of their subtasks in them every time a new client starts this project. You can actually save this as a template. So every time we now need to reuse this, we can actually now go into our templates area. Let's say we want to add a new card over here. We can add a new card from a template. And I don't know if I saved mine or not, but it will now allow us to go and find the templates that we have created and actually just select one from one of the templates we've already made. So you can see here how you could be using this now for a lot of task management or planning. But the other thing I just wanted to show you in here is you can add files, and you see here time logs. If we go into the edit over here, you can actually start tracking time using your time manager here as well. So if I was to actually start this task, I can press log time and put in the amount of time that it took me to do this task so that it will actually show how long it's taking to do these tasks. Okay, I'm just going to come out and cancel that. It will show here in the time log how often, how frequently someone's going in and doing this. So if this is a daily task, for instance, let's pretend it's, answering emails. Every time somebody comes in, they can start the timer and time themselves doing this task or log time manually. And here it will show every single set of activity, date, time, and the amount of time it took for that person to do it. Now, the other thing you have here in comments is you can actually tag people. So if you press the @ symbol, I can tag a colleague and then put in a comment here. We can add in hyperlinks, we can add in files, we can do all basic formatting in here. So basically inside this comment area, you can obviously put in any information that you want. And also in your description area, this is where you might add all of your SOPs, all of your procedures, all of your instructions, or indeed just insert a link to a Google Doc if you have all of your SOPs saved as Google Drive files. So you can see here, this basically becomes Trello, it becomes ClickUp, and you can change the views. This is our card view. You can view your list, your tasks here in list view and filter them just by your own tasks. So it becomes like a task manager per project as well. You can also view it as a table. You can view it as a calendar if you've got set due dates on things in here. There are so many more other activities that you can do in here. One of the other things I like is that in the dashboard, if this was like your tasks or your SOPs manager, it will show how many people are active in here, what are they doing, what time are they spending doing certain tasks. Absolutely insane. All of your shared files will show up in here if you upload them. And also you can choose to enable notifications as well. Those notifications will come through via the email address that's connected to your login inside And you've also got a settings area here. Now, I'm not going to go into the full settings demonstration in this particular video. I just want to show you the main features and functions here. Do bear in mind that over in your contacts and tasks, you also have a separate tasks manager in here too. So it's up to you which way you want to manage your business, but this is where I just want to show you, you have the option to use those Kanban boards, or you can, if you're using these as tasks, use tasks here as well. What we tend to do is use the Kanban boards to actually manage the frequency and the SOP instructions themselves. And I tend to keep all of my tasks in the tasks area here. And then we link the SOPs instructions into the descriptions of the tasks here. Now, anyway, strategy is up to you. I hope that just gives you some idea there as to how amazing these Kanban board features are. This is not a basic high-level feature, by the way. This is something unique to Tekmatix that we have white label and API'd as an additional feature in. If you need any help at all, feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, happy teching.